favorite scene in Skin and Bones was the scene where Max first sees Liz after she's come back from Florida for the summer. I thought that there was something really great about the way she looked when you sort of through Max's point of view. There was this great awkwardness between the two of them, watching them see each other for the first time and knowing that they both had all these feelings for each other but had to cover them. And I thought that there was something very poignant about that scene for me. I mean, it's interesting how you do an episode and there's a big storyline where the bones are dug up, and then also, of course, Niceto being killed at the end of it. The reason why we made that choice to do that, although I love that character, was because we felt that it would put our main cast in a more difficult situation to have to sort of deal with who their enemies were and what they were about without having a protector.
The challenge I felt stepping into this episode was to make Tess a legitimate player in Max's life, to acknowledge the fact that she's disliked by the other characters.
I did not like the way she was looking at him.
And by extension, a good chunk of the audience, simply because, you know, the Max-Liz relationship is so strong and so central to the entire series, and then when Tess was brought in late last season, you know, you don't want to like her. I mean, I think that's easy. You don't want to embrace this newcomer who seems to be upsetting, you know, the magic of Liz and Max, but there she is. And so this seemed like the opportunity to say, well, look, she's got her own problems, you know, and she's vulnerable, and she knows that she's disliked, and yet what else is she going to do? And this man that guided her entire life is suddenly dead, and she's cast aside, no one cares about her, and Max starting to feel guilty. I really liked the scene where he finds her in the park, and then he walks her home. I kind of always thought that was going to be a great opportunity to bring Tess into the fold and make her a little more part of the Roswell family than I think she was. She's always going to sort of be the outsider because she came late to the party, but it seemed like a good opportunity to embrace her in some ways.
Alright, so episode 3, which is commonly known as the striptease episode, apparently, although there was a lot of other stuff that went down. I was warned ahead of time that I was going to have to do a striptease, and the powers that be had sent me a CD asking me if it was something I liked, and I said, you want to know what, if I'm going to striptease, I had to be comfortable with the music, and the music that they had originally picked was something that I couldn't really dance to. It would have been a more slow sort of thing, which would have just been really, really hard and embarrassing. And basically, I mean, I just got to dance. I mean, I didn't really choreograph anything. I didn't have specific moves. I mean, the only thing the script really said was that I had to slap my ass. That was the only, like, specific thing, so I knew that would probably be, like, the climax. So I just went for it, you know. It wasn't really something that I wanted to do. It was something that I was actually sort of not looking forward to doing at all. But, you know, it ended up being really cool because Katie and Jason would just start laughing hysterically. So then I said, okay, well, let me just try and make it as ridiculous as possible. So I tried to make Alex quasi a good dancer, but not really. I wanted him to sort of be flailing a little bit, so he flailed. Because that's one of those things where you're just like, dude, you just gotta go for it, you know, you just gotta dance. I actually hurt my shoulder doing it, if you could believe it or not. Ripping your clothes off is actually kind of dangerous. And for all you inquisitive people, I was not really wearing a G-string, that was just the line. The thong was nowhere to be seen. That's not my forte. I'm a boxer's man myself.
This is our first episode, and from the very beginning, everybody was so on board. It was so exciting to work on a show where everybody's so enthusiastic. First of all, it looked like it was going to be a completely over-budget, very expensive, impossible episode to shoot. And I don't even know if you can tell when you watch the episode, but Parker's bar is the Crash Down, completely redressed. Rosemary's apartment was Michael's apartment, completely redressed.
All of the base work was done on the back lot of Paramount. All of the airplane hangars are actually sound stages. And Sheriff Valenti's office was actually the Army office
It was
as well.
Cassidy's office, yeah.
Cassidy's office.
So they completely readjust that as well. And then it was so funny, they kept talking about that crash site where they're like, oh, just so you know, it's gonna not probably be what you were thinking about. They kept downselling it, and finally when we saw the dailies, we were like, this is fantastic, what are you talking about? It was great.
Yeah, and it was fun also once the episode aired to go on the boards and actually see that the audience was digging it, and they actually
we were terrified.
we were really scared,
We were
but it was so nice that they really got it and they got what we were trying to do and they really understood the parallels.
So with that, we decided we're not going to write any more episodes of Roswell. That's our first and our last. So no, we're kidding.
People can't handle the truth. You think I got little green men in my locker? Am I hiding them? You want to check my pockets? Nick Wexler plays my father, Grandpa Valenti, as a young deputy in 1947. And I play the colonel who's covering up this big mess. What the hell's going on here?
Wasn't that amazing for my age?
Yeah. I don't know. I've been around here all day. Ain't nothing happened. Get the camera on.
Hey, you put one scratch in that lens and I am feeling Uncle Sam.
You know what? You put one scratch in that lens and turn it around to him.
You put one scratch in that lens and we are feeling Uncle Sam.
Right now, deputy.
This is Oreo. Welcome back before we turn on the damn to
I'm the colonel.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Don't let the expression on my face fool you about the joy that's going on the inside. But yes, I'm having a good time. This is a good episode. Hey, pull back just a little bit, fellas.
Go. Roll sound, please.
Rolling.
Hey, Judy, what's my first line? Judy.
I'm not taking no for an answer.
Okay, thank you.
And really yell it out, will you? And action.
I am not taking no for an answer. This is the U.S. Army. Someone is always in charge.
And
Background.
background. Action.